Okay, so if you're making your way to the end of that essay, you'll notice that the student, first of all, has chosen to write about spicy foods, right? And by the very end, the student says things about how the food needs time to ferment. Like schoolwork, food never comes out quite right if you just throw it together at the last minute. There's the start of something here, right? So we didn't give you this essay because it's great or because it's awful. We gave it to you really because it's like a good first draft. If you were my student and you came to me with this essay, that's what I would tell you. I would say, I've read thousands of college essays. No one has written about spicy foods. So I think you have a good idea, but I don't know yet what you're trying to say about spicy foods and what's the theme, right? You should be able in like 1 or 2 sentences to clearly have a theme expressed in your Common App essay, and ideally that theme is gonna then carry over the different areas of your application. So again, there's a really cool idea going on here, but it is not yet executed effectively. So keep that in mind as you go forward.
And something I want you to think about is, like, they chose an interesting topic. The world really is like your oyster. You can write about anything. When I was doing my internship in Loudon, I had a student who wrote an essay about how they were inspired by dung beetles. All right, really, really strange. I would not be, how I would write about being inspired by something that touches poop all day. But it was a good essay, and I was like, wow, they probably have not read something like this. And that's something to consider also. You want to write about something personal to you. No topic is off limits as long as you're comfortable with it for the most part. But also think about what kind of essays the admissions people are probably going to be spending most of their time reading. All right. So these are the college-specific questions. All right. If you apply to a very highly selective college, they're probably going to have a question that's like, well, why do you want to go to this university? And these questions can be a little bit harder, but it can also be easier because it's very specific. You know exactly what you're writing for, right? Why are you interested in that school? Don't pick something generic that could apply to many other schools, right? Like, you wouldn't want to write like, oh, I love the weather in this area. It's like, there are many other colleges in this area that also share the same weather with us, right? What programs do they have? What kind of opportunities do you see yourself being able to have there that you don't see yourself being able to have at another college, all right? Things like that. Really do your research for writing one of these, especially because most of these are a lot shorter than the personal statement. It's like 250 words. So you have to really convey your point very, very quickly and effectively.
Okay, so we're not going to read through this one closely, but if you do want to go back, this will be posted on Schoology and you can read it in more detail. But you'll see that this is an example of a college-specific why this school prompt. I've worked with students on this exact prompt multiple times about the University of Chicago. As you know it, how does it satisfy your desire for a particular kind of learning, community, and future? It's not just about the University of Chicago, right? A thing to keep in mind is that every essay you are going to send to a college is ultimately about you. So don't think that you just need to sit back and say all these things exclusively about the University of Chicago, right? You're also writing about yourself. So I think this student's essay is actually a pretty good one, because if you read through it closely, the first paragraph is a quick anecdote, it has personality. The middle paragraph says, okay, since then I've had an insatiable drive to figure out the world around me. That starts to show me something about the community that this student is trying to be a part of, right? So that's starting to really answer the question in the prompt. Ironically, something I'll throw out there is that if you are going to apply to this school or basically any other school, please visit the school. Because if they're gonna ask you to write, why do you wanna go to this school? you really need to have seen the place and know that actually you do want to go there. And then you need to have actually walked around, maybe been on some tours, maybe even you get to sit in on a class or two, go to the dining hall, see a dorm, right? Then you can say more definitively specific things about why you're interested in that school, okay? But definitely visit and do not apply early decision where you're committing to the school without visiting, okay? So just be ready for these types of questions, so take notes and have some specific things to share.
Alright, some closing thoughts on your essays, alright? Each essay that you write should highlight a trait or, again, theme that you're trying to convey, alright? This is about you and not about anybody else. Share your essay topics with your counselors, teachers, other trusted adults, but bear in mind, colleges are not looking for the perspective of a 40-year-old parent who is sending their kid off to college for the first time, alright? They want to know about the opinions of a 17 or 18-year-old who's really excited about going to college, or the prospect of being away from home for the first time, you know? They want that perspective, alright? Don't duplicate anything, obviously. The package of your essays counts, and revise your essay, revise your essay, revise your essay. It's better to have one idea, like Ms. Afra was saying, your first idea, and really, really work on it, than to come up with 12 different essay topics. Like, hey, which one do you think is the best one, alright? So, speaking of controlling what matters, your letters of recommendation. What's the difference between a counselor letter of rec versus a teacher letter of rec? The counselor's letter of rec will highlight your whole academic career through high school, alright? Your teacher is going to be able to talk about how you were able to do on specific things in class, the skills that colleges are going to want you to be able to show and demonstrate when they're looking at your application. With your counselor, alright, we're going to give you the senior input form. You're going to fill it out in as much detail as you can so that we can write about your experience in high school holistically, right? Your teacher is going to give a snapshot of how you were in their class. You might be asking, what teacher should I ask for a recommendation letter? You should probably ask a core teacher for a letter of recommendation. If you want to go into like fine arts or something, then like you can talk about that. But for the most part, a core teacher, because they'll be able to show that you were able to study for standardized tests, you were able to work on group projects, you were able to work on solo projects, class assignments, you were able to stay on top of things, show study skills and things like that. Very quantifiable, objective skills, alright? The activities resume. So, on the activities resume, you can include 10 activities and 5 awards. On the activities, you want to be able to very explicitly and quantifiably say what you did. For example, if you did a program called Readers Are Leaders, you don't want to say something like, I read to students during this school year, right? That doesn't really tell me much. But if I said, for 1 hour per week for the following months, I went to this elementary school and I helped students who are struggling with literacy skills by reading to them, right? That says so many more things than I went to this school and read to students, right? Put the things that are the most relevant at the top and then work in descending order. Again, to determine what's relevant or not, you can look at what major you're applying for, maybe even like what school. They're looking for a specific kind of student. You want to cater your applications toward those schools, right? Like we were saying, attach meaning, quantify, use numbers, alright? That really helps to give a better idea of what you're actually doing. Some awards, like we said, if you have an award where you had to do a lot of things for, and you can list the things that you did, then those also work. Piecing it all together. Like Ms. Axelrod was saying, the theme. What is the theme that you are trying to convey? You want every part of your application to work cohesively together to give what you want the colleges to see, alright? Does everything support what you say, and do they show something that you can't get just from a transcript? For example, if I was writing like traits and characteristics, if I'm a student with a 4.2 GPA, what is the point of me writing studious like I'm a studious person? They can clearly tell that because you have a 4.2 GPA, right? Tell them something that they won't be able to tell just by looking at the transcript. Does your essay tell your story and reveal details about you? Again, use all of these opportunities to highlight who you are outside of just the transcript and beyond just being the numbers on the transcript. Have you addressed red flags in your application? What does this mean? Let's say sophomore year, all right, there was some kind of event that really derailed you and your grades kind of tanked, but you brought it back up junior year. There is a box for you to fill out that can say like, oh, during this year, this event happened, and this is why, like, the reason for the discrepancy in my grades. And it's not part of the personal statement or anything, it's just an additional little box, alright? Does your counselor know what you are highlighting in your essays? We want to help you get into college, alright? We do not want to gatekeep anything from you guys, so please don't gatekeep information from us. I cannot tell you how many seniors I have hounded down to try and get more information from because they wrote 3 sentences per box, and not all of them were great sentences. So then I have to do interviews while I'm trying to write recommendation letters, and it's just a waste of your time and a waste of my time when you could have done the senior input form, right? So please fill that out as much detail as you can. And then have you expressed your individuality, right? Come across as yourself, right? You're doing this, not anybody else. Again, shout out to Miss Robin Lady, and we have some time to take some questions. Does anybody have any questions for us?